Greetings, mortal. In what can only be described as the most predictable plot twist since someone yelled, "It's a trap," in a Star Wars rewatch, Blizzard Entertainment has announced that Overwatch 2, that plucky sequel which arrived fashionably late and promptly shut down its predecessor, is dropping the 2 from its name. Yes, dear listener, the game will henceforth be known simply as Overwatch. Again. Because nothing says confident forward momentum quite like circling back to square one after a 4-year detour. The announcement, delivered with all the solemnity of a corporate PowerPoint presentation on synergy and player engagement metrics, came earlier this month ahead of the game's 10th anniversary. Starting with the new season on February 10th, now grandly rechristened Season 1, because why not reset the counter while we're pretending the last few years were just a particularly vivid dream, the title will revert to its original moniker. Blizzard executives, ever the masters of understatement, insist this is not, repeat not, an admission of any past missteps. Perish the thought. Dropping the 2 is our way of conveying to players that Overwatch isn't something that you're supposed to move on from, explained one developer in a statement that managed to sound both earnest and vaguely threatening. It's a forever game, they assure us, an eternal digital hearth around which we may gather indefinitely, provided we keep purchasing those battle passes. How comforting. One might almost forget the original Overwatch was rather abruptly euthanized in 2022 to make way for its successor, which promised revolutionary PvE content that, well, let's just say the revolution has been postponed indefinitely. The decision, we're told, emerged from a bold internal discussion involving perhaps 20 to 30 brave souls who concluded that the 2 had become somewhat tainted. Tainted by what, exactly? Association with cancelled story campaigns? The switch to 5v5 that divided the community like a particularly contentious family Christmas? The monetization model that replaced loot boxes with something arguably more predatory? Or merely the sheer weight of 4 years of player feedback ranging from mild disappointment to outright revolting? Blizzard remains admirably vague on the specifics, preferring to frame the change as a triumphant declaration that Overwatch transcends mere numerals. It's not a game with versions, you see. It's a living universe. Called Overwatch. Naturally, the gaming community has responded with its customary grace and unity. Player numbers have surged, reportedly overtaking certain other shooters that shall remain nameless out of basic human decency, as nostalgic veterans return to see what all the fuss is about. Forums are ablaze with thoughtful discourse. Some hail the rebrand as a masterful fresh start, a phoenix rising from the ashes of its own mildly singed predecessor. Others, displaying the restraint for which online gaming communities are renowned, have suggested this is tantamount to admitting Overwatch 2 was never truly a sequel at all. Merely an extended update with extra steps. Why not call it Overwatch 3, asks one particularly helpful forum poster, demonstrating the sort of lateral thinking that keeps community managers gainfully employed. Or Overwatch Classic. Or Overwatch, The Reckoning. Another proposes Overwatch Eternal, presumably to emphasize the forever aspect while also sounding vaguely ominous. A third, showing remarkable historical awareness, suggests Talon 1, a cheeky reference to the game's villainous faction that somehow feels more honest than the official explanation. Particularly touching are the reactions from those who fondly remember the original game's launch in 2016, when Overwatch was briefly the brightest shining star in gaming's firmament. Heroes posed dramatically on posters. Tracer winked from bus shelters. The world seemed, for one golden moment, prepared to believe in a better tomorrow filled with colorful characters and precise headshots. Then came the long drought of content updates, followed by the announcement of Overwatch 2, which would fix everything, apparently, by shutting down the first game entirely. Many loyal players accepted this with the stoic resignation usually reserved for British weather forecasts. Now, 4 years later, those same players are being invited back to a game called Overwatch once more. One can almost hear the collective sigh echoing across servers worldwide, equal parts relief and weary amusement. Welcome home, the game seems to whisper as queues populate faster than expected. Pretend the awkward teenage years never happened. We've redecorated. There's new story content coming. To their credit, Blizzard appears genuinely committed to this latest reinvention. The rebrand accompanies promises of a new, story-driven era, complete with 10 new heroes, substantial lore advancements, and various mechanical tweaks including sub-roles and passives. Seasons will restart from 1, wiping the slate clean in a gesture that feels simultaneously refreshing and faintly insulting to anyone who endured the preceding 20 seasons of varying quality. Even voice actors have weighed in positively, offering an enthusiastic boom that somehow captures the entire saga's energy. Yet questions linger like the faint smell of yesterday's takeaway. Will removing a single digit truly exorcise the ghosts of broken promises past? Can a game that once killed its original incarnation now convincingly present itself as the definitive, eternal version? And most importantly, what happens when the next major overhaul arrives? Overwatch Prime. Overwatch Reloaded. Overwatch Forever, now with 100% more microtransactions. For now, players seem willing to give Blizzard the benefit of the doubt. Concurrent numbers are up. Queues are short. The familiar soundtrack swells triumphantly as heroes assemble once more. Perhaps this really is the fresh start everyone claims. Or perhaps it's merely the latest chapter in gaming's longest-running soap opera, where dramatic declarations of renewal are followed inevitably by fresh controversy. Either way, one thing is certain: Overwatch, whichever numerical suffix it currently lacks, remains very much alive. Whether that's a testament to the game's enduring appeal or merely evidence that players will forgive almost anything if the core gameplay remains satisfying is a question best left to philosophers. Or perhaps to whatever focus group decides the next name change. In the meantime, welcome back to Overwatch. Try not to get too attached. The two might return someday. Stranger things have happened. After all, this is the game that once convinced us a hamster in a wrecking ball was competitive esports material. This is your humble servant the Nerd Reaper, and I put the grim gaming takes in the bag.